Hi. This is the Work and Money podcast with host Michelle Long and
Willie Morales.
And today we have a great guest. His name is Bedros, and he is a fitness entrepreneur. Hi, Bedros. How are you?
Wonderful. Thank you so much for having me, guys.
Bedros, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm in the fitness industry, like you said. However, before getting into the fitness industry, I was actually an overweight, out of shape young man. And so that's kind of what led me into the fitness industry. And I'm so glad it did, because it was in the 10th grade of high school that I realized that I had to do something about my weight. I was 30 pounds overweight. I wanted to get in better shape so that I can go to the prom the next year. And a friend of mine turned me on to some muscle magazines, and I started reading them and working out, and very quickly realized that I like getting in shape, not because of the physical changes, but because how it helped me evolve as a person. I built more self-esteem, more confidence. I looked people in the eye when I spoke to them. And to me, this was a really big transformation, much more than any kind of physical transformation would ever take place. And so I committed to becoming a personal trainer. Well, now you fast forward 20 years, and in that time, I went from wanting to become just a personal trainer to now owning and operating Fit Body Bootcamp franchise, where we have 500 plus locations worldwide, and we're one of the fastest growing franchises in the fitness space.
Wow, that is very impressive. So you're kind of like the next Jack LaLanne, per se.
Well, I suppose I can be, yeah, and there's definitely plenty of people like me out there helping and adding value. Guys like Tony Horton and many others, Trainer Bob, Keuilian Michaels. But for me, my journey was that I was overweight, out of shape, and had low self-esteem. And working out completely transformed me physically and mentally, emotionally. And that's something that I wanted to share with the world. And I made that my life's mission. The big transition came for me when I realized that I was only able to help so many people at a time when I worked in a big box gym. And there's nothing wrong with working in a big box gym as a personal trainer. You certainly are going to have clients, and you're going to help these clients. But I realized the impact I was making was very, very small on the scale that I wanted to make. In my mind's eye, I wanted to help hundreds of thousands of people, and actually millions of people. And I knew it wasn't going to be by being an employee of a gym and, training 5 to 6 people a day. And so thankfully, I brought that up to one of my personal training clients, and his name is Jim Franco. And he ended up being one of my greatest mentors, and in fact, my first mentor where business was concerned. And it was about, let's see here, I became a personal trainer in 1998. It was about 2004 that Jim began to mentor me and educated me on business, being an entrepreneur, and then taking that leap and saving money and opening up my first personal training studio in 2000 in the early 2000s. So for me, it was a bit of a journey as an employee until I realized that I needed to make a bigger impact. And the only way that was going to happen was by becoming an entrepreneur. And thank goodness that I had a client who was a businessman who agreed to mentor me and teach me the ways of operating a business.
So, Bedros, so when you opened that first gym, what was the process for you to franchise it? Was that a hard process to do? I mean, because you pretty much have to duplicate what you implemented at the first gym and have, like you said, the 500 plus gyms, around. Was that a hard process to do to make sure that what you implemented was implemented in every other gym that you came up with?
It is, because just like any other franchise, whether it's a Subway sandwich store or a 7-Eleven or a Curbs fitness franchise or a Fit Body Bootcamp franchise like we have, you're dealing with humans who have their own vision of how the model should look. Even though they're part of a franchise and they want to run the business the way it's designed to be run. And a great example of that actually was a movie that recently came out called The Founder. And it talks about the founders of McDonald's. And one of the things that Ray Kroc was not the original founder of McDonald's. It was the McDonald brothers. Ray Kroc
Right.
actually helped them franchise. And there's a scene in the movie Founders where Ray Kroc is visiting one of the franchise locations, and the location, in addition to selling hamburgers, was selling fried chicken and burritos. And Ray Kroc loses it, and he says, "Why on God's green earth are you selling fried chicken and burritos? We're McDonald's, we're a hamburger stand." And of course, the franchisee had the vision of, well, the more options I give people, the more people I'll be able to attract. The McDonald's business model is we do one thing and we do it better than anybody else. And that one thing is hamburgers. At least back then it was. And so, yeah, absolutely. It is tough, but that conversation begins now before anyone becomes a franchisee. So where I had my 5, 6, 7 locations and we were a chain and they were all privately owned, as we began to open up the franchising opportunity, we made sure to only bring on franchisees who shared the same vision, had the same path, were on the same mission, and saw the business running exactly like we had designed it to run and not any different. So we set our expectations ahead of time with our franchisees. And of course, majority of them have still continued to run it the way we've designed it to be run. Now, are there people who are kind of running it a little differently, or maybe putting a smoothie shop in it, or putting a kids daycare in it, or maybe putting showers in it because we're a tiny boutique personal training studio. There's no showers required. Yes, there are, and we talk to them, and typically when they do that, they see that it ends up costing them more money, and it's not helping their business, and in fact begins to dilute their marketing message. And so we communicate with them in a kind, gentle way and help them get back onto the program. But yeah, you're always going to have what's known as compliance issues.
So, Bedros, do you do the interview yourself, or is that into the process that you have other people interview the franchisees? Are you
Good
always
question. I created the process, and I named it the Getting to Know You call. And now it's become the Getting to Know You calls, as in many. And in fact, it's a 45-day process for us to get to know and vet out a potential franchisee. And the reason for that is I have a very specific vision of how I want the workouts to be, how I want the workouts delivered, how I want the trainers to interact with the clients, the experience that I want the clients to get, the results that they can expect from us, how they can stay injury-free, and all those things. And so it truly is a process that I created. And then, of course, now I've got a team of 45 people here at our headquarters who use that process every day, because we bring on an average of 15 to 20 new locations per month worldwide. So you can imagine we're talking to hundreds of people each and every month just to boil it down to those 15 to 20 actual franchisees.
Okay, no, that's it's I like how you set up that model, because I think once you have that model and it's followed by everybody else, then let's put it, for lack of a better word, the automation should just should start flowing, because you already set the model. You're the first model, everybody else should follow and have the exercises in place and all that. Let me ask you one more question. Bedros, now, as you see these commercials on TV with these exercises, for the stomach and for the hips and the legs and all that. I know it's not competition, but to me, I don't think that's really a workout, because you're just working out one part of your body compared to going to a gym where you could set a schedule up 3 times a week, 4 times a week. How do you feel about these commercials that are promoting, a fitness board, and you're just doing like the twist? How does that, I'm not saying make you feel, but how do you see that as, for lack of a better, competition?
That's a really good question too, because where competition is concerned, I don't look at my competition as infomercial gadgets or even diet pills or the plastic surgeon or doctor who does the lap band. I look at my competition not as other fitness businesses. My competition is McDonald's, Taco Bell, Kellogg, cereal companies, the fast food places that spend literally billions of dollars every year forcing people into the idea of you could eat healthy at a fast food restaurant. And true, someone could potentially eat healthy at a fast food restaurant, but then when you try to and you order a grilled chicken sandwich that's lettuce wrapped, and they make you the tantalizing offer of, would you like to supersize that to, mega French fries and a mega sugary soda for only 99 cents more, it's kind of hard to say no. So my competition really isn't the ab machine that's sold or the twister or the whatever machine. It's the fast food restaurants, the cereal companies, the candy companies. These are my competition. And the way I look at it is I have a duty with my franchise to put those fast food restaurants and food companies that are making people fatter and sick and diseased out of business.
I'm looking at Michelle, and for me, I never heard of that, and I think that's a great concept because if you do look at it, you are fighting against those establishments, the McDonald's, pizza, burgers, everything, and your goal is to have people fit, eat right, eat correct, and stay in shape for the rest of their lives. I never thought about it. That the fast food is the competition compared to other gyms, the valleys, or now they call tap outs, whatever. I think that's a great point, and I think that's a point that needs to be highlighted more by not only you but people that have fitness centers because nobody talks about that as much as it should be.
That's exactly right, and I'll give you an example of this. Listen, if somebody is up at, I don't know, midnight and they watch a commercial for let's say some workout videos or a abdominizer tummy flattening machine, and they order it, well, at least that tells me that they're making some kind of effort towards fitness. And that is the first thing we need is we need someone to go, you know what? I realize I'm overweight, out of shape, tired, have low self-esteem and confidence. I need to do something about myself. Maybe they're ordering the wrong piece of equipment because they got sold by the hype of the infomercial. But at least the way I look at it is they're on the right path. They're trying to do something right about their fitness. And my hope is that when they get that piece of equipment, when they use it, if it shows them results, great. And if it doesn't show them results, then maybe at some point they'll look for an alternative and they'll discover a fitness program like Fit Body Boot Camp that can actually help them. But whereas the fast food restaurants are concerned, they are on a mission to make everybody fat, bloated, and sick.
Being active or trying to, look at what you're consuming, that can alter, the lifestyle of what you're accustomed to.
Yeah, well, you're absolutely right there. And most of the time, people are under a misconception when they say they don't have the time, because time isn't something that magically shows up. It isn't something that just one day is going to work out for you. The only time something becomes a priority to us when that thing is an actual desire. So, I always used to ask clients, because, when I was a personal trainer, I would get prospective clients who were 80, 90, 100 pounds overweight. I'm not talking about just 10 or 20 vanity pounds. I'm talking 80 to 100 pounds overweight. And when they would give the excuse, and it was an excuse, that I don't have the time, and I would say, now, do you not have the time, or is it still not a priority to you? Because if you want it bad enough, we can make anything a priority. You know how that is. It's, I remember having an employee a long time ago, and she needed to have her car brakes fixed. And she said, man, my car is very dangerous. And when I drive it, when I hit the brakes, it barely stops. Half the time I'm crossing the red light. If I don't hit the brakes, half a mile back. And I said, well, you should get that fixed. She says, well, I don't have the money to. Yet the very next week, she came in with a beautiful, massive tattoo down her arm. And I said, how much did that cost you? She said, like $400 or $500. I said, well, that's what it would have cost you to fix your brakes on your car. She goes, yeah, I guess I found a way to pay for the tattoo. And I realized in that moment that we always find a way for the things that are a priority in our life, and then we always find an excuse for the things that are not a priority.
And you're absolutely right. It's all about the priority. If you want something really bad enough, you will go and make the changes. And the other thing too is that, for people that are in that situation, it has to take some something to scare them. It could be some kind of, medical scare where, they might have a heart attack, or, they might have like a stroke, or something significant for them to really kind of like take a step back and say, oh my God, I have to make these changes so that I can, live a longer life. And it's just, I sometimes can't wrap my head around, how people make their decisions. Instead of going for the obvious decisions that are most important, they go for the things that are more of a luxury than, than the things that are necessity.
That's exactly right, and that's exactly the example I wanted to give there with the priority. I mean, people will make a handbag a greater priority than losing 80 to 100 pounds. Now, they may not realize those 80 to 100 pounds are causing health damages until it's too late, like diabetes, where they might have to get a foot cut off or a limb cut off, or a stroke or heart disease. But the reality is we all find time and we all find the money if something becomes a priority.
Both you and Michelle make a great point. So Bedros, at the gym, when you started your business or when you started doing the personal training, did you see more of one gender than another working out, or you think it's about the same, a 50-50 split? Because like Michelle was saying, like here in Manhattan, in New York, like I notice when I'm going to work, I see more women working out, jogging. Now, obviously, in certain parks in the city, I'll see maybe a 50-50 split. But in the gym, do you see more of a 50-50 split, or do you see more of one gender than another working out?
No, you nailed it. It's 90% of the time you're going to find more women inside of a gym than men, and the smaller the gym gets, the higher the percentage of women. So let me give you an example. Like a big box gym, like we say in LA Fitness, 24 Hour Fitness, Lifetime Fitness, Bally's, these gyms that are just membership based, they might have 50-50 men and women, or maybe 60% women, 40% men. But the smaller it gets, where it becomes more of a boutique personal training gym, a studio, a boot camp, like our Fit Body boot camps, then you start seeing, in our case, we have 87% women as clients across all 500 plus locations. And why it's that way, I'm not sure, other than the fact that I do know from personal experience, women are more open to being coached, whereas men, their egos don't allow them to want to get coached by a trainer or an expert. And so that's the only thing I can come up with myself.
It's like I was going to ask you that, like do you know why? But I think you might be right. Well, I know you're right because you just said it. And it's funny because, like I said, here in the city, like in the morning, I just see, women in their workout clothes just going to the gym. They'll wake up an hour and a half early to do their workout compared to a guy. And I think for me personally, I'm in my 50s and I want to keep slim. I might not work out like I used to, but I take pride in what I look like, especially if I'm wearing, a nice suit or whatever. Do you see that men maybe don't have that pride, obviously when they're younger compared to when they're older? Is that possible?
I don't know if it's pride. That's a really good question you're asking, Will. I don't know if it's pride or if it's men kind of feel that, it's, and again, I don't want to sound politically incorrect, or I don't want to sound sexist, but I am the king of saying things how it is. So here's how it is.
No, please feel free.
Yeah. Men are less organized than women. That's just a fact. I mean, you never hear a woman go, "Hey, honey," to her husband, "Hey, honey, where are my socks?" You always hear guys going, "Hey, honey, I lost my socks. I lost my keys. I lost my wallet." And I know that I'm more disorganized. And so we're disorganized with our time, with our schedule, with our rituals, with our discipline, whereas women are not. They see it as a higher priority. Men don't see something as a priority unless they are sick and in a hospital bed. Think about it. A woman starts feeling off a little bit. She's at the hospital, at the doctor's office. For you and me as guys, man, and this is embarrassing to say, but you kind of have to, we wait until it's too late before we do anything. So it's not that we kind of lose hope or anything like that. We just feel like, I don't think I need it yet. And we're effectively, men are lying to themselves when they think that they can put it off for another month, another 6 months, another year before they start working out or eat right. Because the weight slowly creeps on, and by the time they are having a health scare, they realize that they've gained 50, 60, 100 pounds or more.
Yeah, no, that is scary. I agree there.
So, Bedros, as an observation from what I see, and I'm not trying to put anybody on the spot or anything like that in regards to gender, but the factor is when it comes to body type between the fat, I guess the fat proportion in a man and a woman, it's easier for them to lose the weight quicker because of the fat mass and also where the fat is on the body. And, that's why women are more conscious of going out and working out. The other factor too is that as a society, men are not judged on their physical appearance as much as women. Men, the public is easier on men if they gain a few pounds or if they lose their hair or anything on the physical sense. They're not as judgmental as they are with women. So women are more self-conscious and therefore they're out trying to, be more physically appealing so that they don't get the harsh treatment, especially in like with celebrities, in Hollywood. You see more women trying to do all of these things to make themselves look more youthful, look more younger, more fit, so that that they can get more roles, but at the same token, look more desirable and they don't get scrutinized by the public.
Yeah, that's a very good point. And you nailed it when you said that men simply don't get as scrutinized as women do. Now, and men know the fact that because we have higher testosterone levels, because we have more muscle on our bodies just organically, we tend to lose fat easier. So men also know that they have it a little easier where weight loss and muscle building is concerned. And so they take that for granted, which they shouldn't, because at the end of the day, time gets all of us. And they do everything they can to put off that weight gain and put off heart disease and the risk for potential strokes and so on. But yeah, you're absolutely right. Women there's more expectations in society of women to look good. Women get judged more than men do. And why is it that way? I don't know, but it is that way, and it's unfortunate.
Mm-hmm. So, Bedros, I have a question for you. In regards to, when you were starting out in the business and, basically expanding your business, how did you go about going out to the public and letting people know about your fitness company? Did you go through social media? Did you go through marketing? Like, how did you approach that so that the public knew about your company and the expansion of your company?
Yeah, well, that's a great question. I realized early on, it was 1997 that I figured out that I really liked this whole internet business, this whole internet thing. And it was so brand new. If you remember America Online and the dial-up, all of that was so new. There was no Google search engine. There was no social media. But I knew there was something special about this whole internet and web searching thing. And so that's when I really started to take interest in the internet. Well, you fast forward a few years, Google comes around, and you fast forward even a few more years after that, we're doing now. Google has email and Hotmail and Yahoo, and Facebook comes around and other social media platforms. So I'm really fortunate that I got to start on the internet and I was able to embrace social media marketing, search engine marketing, buying traffic online. So I never really did, for our franchises, I never really did much of offline marketing, like postcards and print ads. bus benches and billboards, not even TV ads, because you can advertise on TV, but people use their TiVo to fast forward through the commercials. And if they don't see the commercials, then there goes their ad. So I've been really diligent from day one with social media marketing, and I got to tell you, that's been the thing that's been the biggest benefit to the growth of our business.
Interesting. The reason why I ask is because, and you know what, we are in an age where social media is the pillar of growing businesses. And Willie and I are always talking about that, no matter, even if you do a small platform on social media, if it's Instagram or Facebook, there's so many advantages of being hands-on on these platforms, because gradually your name gets out into the public, and the more consistent that you are with your presence, and not only with your presence but also representing your brand and what you're all about, the more that people are going to see that. And the other thing too that's very big as of the past 3 or 4 years is when people look at a business, they're always looking at reviews. And the reason being is that makes a determination if the person is going to go forward and, make business with that particular company or shy away from it. So if they see that there is good reviews, that the company or the individual is has great service, they're providing great service, and it reflects, overall in their business, then people are going to go and do business with them. And I've seen that as, not just in if you go to a restaurant, or if you go to a hotel, or if you go to, even if you go to see a particular doctor, that right now, if anybody that is curious to know if it's a good business or a bad business, they usually go by whatever the reviews are or what people's remarks are by their past experience.
Exactly right. And we make it a very strong point when we get new franchisees on board. And I'm so glad you brought this up, that the 3 big review platforms, which are Yelp, Facebook reviews, and Google reviews, that we are able to dominate them. Because, just like everybody who's bought anything from Amazon.com, it doesn't matter if there's 10 reviews or 10,000 reviews. You're always going to read some. You're always going to scroll down and read the 1 or 2 star reviews, and to see if they're reliable, if you trust what they say, if it was a fluke, or if the person is really bad at what they do. And so reviews are just how we make decisions today where the internet is concerned. And many of us make a lot of decisions on the internet on a daily basis. So while we don't sell our franchises, or we don't sell personal training on Amazon, we do sell it on the internet, and people are searching for us on the internet. So we are very, very active on making sure that we have a ton of great reviews on Yelp, Facebook, and Google.
No, that makes a lot of sense. So, Bedros, I wanted to ask you because, for me personally, I'm not in the gym as much as I should be or I would like to be. So I'm always hearing conflicting reports about running versus weightlifting, or should we do both? What do you say to let's say, for lack of a better word, critics out there that are saying that running is good for you, running is not good for you, weightlifting is perfect, but you got to put in some running? You're the expert. What do you say about that?
Yeah, you know what? And listen, if you have 2 bad knees and your knees hurt, running is bad for you. On the flip side, if you're a Navy SEAL and you need to be conditioned cardiovascularly because you're going to be, hiking for 18 miles to go on a mission, then maybe, with a 130-pound backpack, then maybe running is good for you. And there's everyone in between. There's some people, now, I might say, you know what, you can go in the gym and work out with weights, and in between your sets, go do 2-minute sprints on the elliptical or the treadmill. That's called high-intensity interval training. So now you're doing resistance training to build your muscles and to increase your cardiovascular output, and in less time, you're going to get better results. And you might go, oh, okay, great. My body will look better. And I'll say, yes, it will. And that's guaranteed. It will. If you do high intensity interval training where you're doing, weight training, and then in between your weight training sets, you are doing, a minute and a half to 2 minutes of hardcore sprints on a treadmill, elliptical bike, you're going to get your best results. Right. However, what if you go, look, Bedros, I sit in an office all day long. The last thing I want to do is spend another 45 minutes in the gym. In a building. I would much rather go and do a 2-mile run and then do some body weight squats and push-ups and burpees outside, all in the park. I'll feel better, even though my body won't be as built as the body I would get in the gym. Then I would say, you know what, Willie, go do that. So at the end of the day, it's not about what produces the best muscle gain or fat loss. What is going to make you overall healthy, happy, and resilient so that you stick to the program for life? That's the thing you're going to have to figure out and do.
Bedros, before we let you go, I just want to ask you, what books do you recommend, or what books are you reading on health, or a book you could recommend to people about health or workout? What do you think?
Good question. A book that I would recommend on health is called The China Study, and it's a fantastic book, and it talks about how many of the foods that we're currently eating, we're eating in such large consumptions. For example, they did tests on mice, and they found that if you take in a little bit of aspartame or any of those artificial sweeteners, you're going to be fine. But the problem is we're eating in such huge volumes that we are getting cancer at an alarming rate. We are getting these diseases at a faster rate than ever before. And the China study really helps uncover many of those diseases that modern day society is getting. So that's the big book that I would recommend on health, where your health is concerned. And I'm also a big believer in mental health. In other words, self-help, self-development, becoming mentally tough and resilient. And where that's concerned, the book that I would recommend is Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill. It's a great book that talks about how you have control over every outcome of your life and how you can take advantage of that and take control of your life. And great book by Napoleon Hill. Most people know the book that he wrote, which is Think and Grow Rich, but the book that came after that, Outwitting the Devil, is equally as important.
Okay, Bedros, for our listeners out there, where can they find you?
Your listeners can find me on my blog at bedroskeuilian.com or on all the social media platforms by looking for the name Bedros Keuilian.
Okay. So, Willie, for our listeners, where can they find us?
Well, Michelle, they could find us at facebook.com/workyourmoney. They could find us on our website, workyourmoney.net, or you could find us on bboxradio.com. You could find us there on Saturdays from 2:30 to 3:30, or on a special day, we might be there from 2:30 to 4:30. Also, you could find us on iTunes at Work Your Money. Please subscribe and leave a review. Bedros, I don't know what to say, but I think you said it all. I wish we could interview you for another 2 hours because I think we have a lot to learn.
Well, I really appreciate the opportunity, Willie. And Michelle, it was a pleasure meeting you. Thank you so much, guys.
No, thank you. Bedros, it was a pleasure having you on. And we are happy to have you back on another day. And we can talk a little bit more about, anything that comes up in regards to your projects or anything, any ventures or anything like that you will love to share with our listeners, or, talk more in depth in regards to fitness. It's a very interesting topic.
Well, I would love that opportunity, and I look forward to it.
Awesome. So, guys, this is the Work and Money podcast. Until the next time, have a good evening.
Thanks, Bedros.
Thank you. Bye-bye.